Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of About Abroad, where it's my job to introduce you to people who have built amazing lives for themselves in various foreign corners of the globe. We're talking with expats and thought leaders about moving abroad, remote work, visas, and all the fun and practical knowledge that you need to know to follow in their footsteps. If you've ever dreamed of making a life for yourself overseas, maybe working remotely or embracing long-term travel, retiring or studying abroad, or even just taking a peek inside life beyond your borders, you've landed in the right place. This episode is brought to you by my friends over at E-Residency of Estonia. If you're a globetrotting digital nomad, expat, freelancer, or somebody with a business, whether that's just you or an aspiring unicorn like some of the many other unicorns that have come out of Estonia, then look at E-Residency of Estonia the next time you're thinking about where to establish your business. E-Residency is a digital identity issued by the Republic of Estonia, which is in the European Union, to foreign nationals, that means non-Estonians, giving them digital access to the country's advanced online infrastructure and open business environment. And when I say advanced, I mean advanced. They've been doing digital for decades. E-residents can start a company 100% online from wherever they are in the world, run it remotely, open business bank accounts, and even submit their annual reports, all with their electronic ID card. It's literally international business without borders for location-independent entrepreneurs, perfect for the About Abroad audience. The next time you're thinking about where to establish your business, look at E-Residency of Estonia via the link in the show notes. Okay, now back to the episode. My guest today is no stranger to the About Abroad podcast. If you've been listening since season 1, then you've met him before. His name is Gonçalo Hall, aka the King of Nomads. We jokingly get to that later in the episode, but he really is just doing some amazing things around the world. And I was so thankful he was able to give me some time, come back on the show and update us on what's going on with the nomad villages that he's building in the islands all over the Atlantic Ocean. It's really amazing. He started with one in Madeira off the coast of Portugal, built another one in Azores. He's building another one off the coast of Africa now. And so it was just super fun catching up with him, learning more about where he's going. He's also taken over another company that has to do all with building lives abroad. So he had so much to share with us, and he and I just had a blast catching up. So I think you will enjoy this one, and I hope you'll help me in welcoming Gonçalo Hall back to About Abroad. I'm back with a fan favorite on the About Abroad podcast here today. Gonçalo Hall is in the house. What's up, my friend?
Hello, hello. It's a pleasure to be back, my friend. I'm so excited about this one. I think this will be incredible.
It always is. And it's always fun to catch up with you. And you genuinely were a fan favorite during the inaugural season of About Abroad. So you're seeing it in its like new and refreshed form. We've come a long way, right? Since the early days.
Yeah, and so many is happening. So much things are happening around the world. You are growing so much, which is incredible in this new world. And About Abroad, so many good guests, so many friends that you are having here. So it's like a family already.
Yeah. It's been a lot of fun, and watching people like you and the things that you're doing. I mean, I'm kind of blown away by how fast things are moving. So it's a lot of fun. I'm glad you were able to make some time to come on the show again, and for us to get a chance to catch up. What's new in your world, man? You're working on like 42 different projects. What's at the top of the list?
Yeah, I'm trying to reduce to 41 now. I think 42 was the limit. Now I'm trying to go for the 41. No, and I think by accident, I ended up developing Madeira. It ended up in all over the news. We talked about this before, the Madeira Digital Nomad Village project. Well, it caught fire. So now I'm working with Cabo Verde, this African country, 8 islands, insanely beautiful place, and with the African vibe, but at the same time, it's super safe. So it's like this paradise that nobody's talking about. I'm now working with them, remote work in Cabo Verde, and I'm so passionate about this project because it's both remote work, digital nomadism, and giving back, because the community is really welcoming, and they are very dependent on tourism. So I'm very excited giving back through remote work, through nomadism to this Cabo Verde community. And just this one makes me smile. And then, of course, Azores is popping. This also islands. I have something about islands. I end up in islands all the time somehow. And so Azores is popping out, amazing nature, volcanic islands, and it's just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And you can swim the whole year round with like water with 30 degrees, heated by the therms, and it's like, wow. So I'm working with both of these destinations, trying to push digital nomad visa in Portugal. Fingers crossed, guys, fingers crossed. I'm working really hard on this one, but it's still Portugal. And then, yes, we have Nomad X, man. I'm a new CEO of Nomad X.
Hold on. Let's get to Nomad X in a minute, because this is exciting news. It doesn't deserve to be like sprinkled on top. This is a separate meal. Okay, so for anybody that didn't listen to the first time that Gonçalo stopped by About Abroad, we're gonna have the link in the show notes. You can go back and listen to that if you want to hear all about Madeira and the amazing project that he did there, and how that's parlayed into these other island nomad villages that he's building all over the world now. But let's do a quick recap for anybody that's listening right now that doesn't have the time to do that at the moment. Talk about what is a nomad village, and what exactly are you doing to create them. And then also, I think as like a third part to that, totally breaking podcaster rules there, asking multiple questions at the same time. But just go into like what this means for the community as a whole, and why you're so passionate about it.
Man, that's so important, because I think most digital nomad projects, or even tourism projects, they fall in the most important, taking care of the locals. And so the Nomad Village is a village in Madeira, and we'll have more. I have some news on that also later in this podcast. But it's the first Nomad Village that I created with the government of Madeira. They jumped on board. And basically, there was this village, Ponta do Sol, amazing, in the southwest of Madeira, no winds, just pure beauty every single sunset. And we created the whole conditions to welcome digital nomads. But more important than that, once digital nomads are there, we created this strong community. And nowadays, people are traveling all over the world. There is a huge community from Madeira coming to Cabo Verde. There is people traveling right now in Poland all together, 20 guys. It started with 2 persons saying, hey, we are going to Poland. Anyone wants to join? And there is 20 of us right now traveling together in Poland, the same in Greece. So basically what I want to say with this is that you make friends. It's one of those places you go, you work alone, and you live alone. No, it's a place where you go on the first day to the free co-working space, and you will make 10 friends. Then you go to the CrossFit event and you make 20 more friends. And by the end of the day, you met 50 people, and those 50 people will be your new friends for the whole future, which is something very different. One thing that we also did to make it special was we connected the locals to all these experiences, and we are just starting. So for example, we educated all the restaurants that people want vegetarian and vegan options as well, because around 30% of the nomads are right now vegetarians or vegans. So they adapted their menus. There is this place called the Steakhouse. Those guys have the best vegetarian meals of the whole village right now, which is ironic. But then we took care of all the community. Like we have these friends, for example, they just did an event, and they collected 2,000 euros to a dog association, and they built with their hands. Well, they do CrossFit, so they are strong people. They built a shelter for dogs. We are making sure that all the nomads, all the expats have a positive impact in the community. So even the whole education, like a lot of new nomads coming over, and we just help them, we educate them, like based a lot on what Tarek shares with the Nomads Giving Back community. We totally embrace it, and we want nomads to give back, and we are making sure that we give back everywhere.
Epic. I absolutely love it. Like, and another thing is like just the core basic economics of it is like you're bringing people into these communities, which were maybe saying a dying village is too harsh, but like places that are struggling a bit, in a way, and they're beautiful and they have lots of access to nature, and the locals love living there, but they can use a boost economically. All of a sudden you come in and you help them set up Airbnbs, you help them kind of cater to what a nomad wants. You set up the free co-working there. And I mean, it's like so deep and so basic at the same time. Right. And like these families there who like, oh, they're renting out a room in their place now and supplementing their income, and they can live again a little bit. Like it's so cool how it can impact the local economy that way.
Even the massage lady, now she's completely full because we found out there was a super good massagist and physiotherapist there, and she does massages for 20 euros. So suddenly she's like fully booked from morning to the evening because, well, we sit way too long and we suffer a little bit, and looks like everybody has back pain, and you are moving around. Me too. I keep going like heavy backpacks, sitting all day. And so we have a masseuse there that is making a lot of money now, and we are very happy with her. Everything, even the tennis club is making money, like Nomads learning tennis, diving. The diving center was completely empty during COVID. They were completely full. Everybody taking the diving licenses. It's cool. It's super cool to see it. And it's people that stay there. They don't just go there for 7 days. Our average stay is almost 3 months. So people really stay there. They get to know the locals. My friends there now. And it's one of the few places where I go and I felt at home. I had a small burnout. I went there and it's like, yeah, this is home now. It's not Lisbon anymore. It's insane. And cool. Everybody's super happy. So it just needs to make sure that it keeps that way and it becomes sustainable. So the government doesn't need to be always part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of a really interesting aspect of what you're doing too, is you're partnering with the governments to do this. I mean, you're actually like contracted by them to build these communities. So what's their, I think it's kind of obvious, but maybe not so obvious. Maybe there's elements of it I don't understand, but like what's the government getting out of this? They're helping their local communities, right?
Yes, but most important, economically, it's kind of the best investment I saw a government make. And that's not because they invested in me. Like they invested around $35,000, euros. And they are getting back into the economy around 1.8 to 2 million euros per month. So they invested, again, 35,000 per year, and they are getting back into the community around 2 million per month, more or less, depending on how we average it. The average, and so if you are into math, is each nomad spends more or less around 1,800 euros. That's a nomad average. I have people spending 5,000. I have people spending 1,200. But averaging out at 1.8, it's around 2 million. And that's a lot of money being left in the Madeira economy, in all the small businesses. And the way you set up and the way we educate the nomads as well, we try to push it, is be mindful about where you spend your money. So don't spend your money in McDonald's. Don't spend your money in this crazy international restaurant. Spend it where the locals own the businesses. So people, instead of choosing a big hotel, they will go to the local owned hotel, or they choose always the local by default. Sometimes you do need to go to McDonald's for a reset, but most of the times you'll see nomads being now very mindful about where they spend their money. So even educating this whole new generation, the impact will be amazing because they will take this lesson wherever they are, not just about Madeira.
So cool. And so if anybody's listening and wondering where Madeira is, it's an island off the coast of Portugal. And this is an archipelago that's like insanely beautiful. It looks like Hawaii or something. And you can just go. I think it's considered the best island destination in all of Europe by many outlets, and yet still somewhat relatively unknown, I think, to a lot of people. So less and less so these days, thanks to Gonçalo. But that's a fascinating thing to watch from a distance, and I hope I'll get down there. Might be my winter escape this year coming up. And now you're expanding that. You're popping nomad villages all over the world. You've got one in Africa. You've got another one in Azores. Tell me a little bit about Cabo Verde, the one you're doing in Africa.
Man, Africa really needs this kind of projects. Of course, Madeira needs it a lot. They were losing population for 40 years now. But imagine a country in Africa that's actually an island south of the Canary Islands, in the Senegal coast, 8 islands. They really need a project like this because the whole economy is based in mass tourism. People stay in 5-star hotels. The money never actually arrives to the local economy because it's all included 5-star hotels most of the times. They need this money. They have no other, like the islands are dry, but they have these insanely beautiful landscapes, the white sand beach, the green water. It's not even blue, it's green. When you see it, it's not even blue. The water is green and transparent, and amazing fish and amazing lobster. It's like African culture in the super safe place and super laid back. I don't know what to compare with landscape-wise. I really like to compare it with Thailand, which is a lot of sand, like some islands in Thailand, more sand, the blue water, the diving is insane. It's the capital of the kite surf as well in Sao. And the idea is to do the same, But because it's 8 islands, we are spreading out a little bit. So we start with the capital of culture called São Vicente, the beautiful island as well, which is connected with 2 other islands. And the goal is the same: use remote work to give back to the world and to build communities. And so nomads can build their own community, meet more like-minded people, and this time even have a bigger local impact, because 1.8 thousand euros in Cabo Verde go way longer than 8,000 euros in Madeira. So the impact we have in the economy of Cabo Verde will be massive. And that's the goal, like try to bring 100 people still this year. I think we have already 200 registrations by now. So just bring people. I'm preparing everything. It's more challenging. It is. But the internet is good enough. Which will improve a lot in the next 3 years. Right now, it can work perfectly. I could be doing this podcast from Cabo Verde, which is amazing. And it's just perfect, It's like one of those places, it has to be developed. And it connects really well with this region called Macaronésia, which is Azores, Madeira, Canary Islands, and Cabo Verde. So it's part of this region. So the southern you go, the best the weather gets. So you can get in the peak of the winter, where everybody's freezing, when Madeira has 18 to 17 degrees, it's already 23 in Cabo Verde.
Wow. That's over 80 degrees for my Fahrenheit friends out there. That's amazing.
It's good. Yeah, it's better than amazing. The summer in many European countries.
It is. Wow. It sounds like, I've seen some pictures and seen some activity going on now that the buzz you're already creating. And I have to say, I'm totally fascinated. And they're just like cannibalizing each other, because I'm like, oh, is it Madeira? Is it Azores? Is it Cabo Verde? I don't know. I just gotta set aside a month or two for each of them.
But imagine you have a network of places. Like, I'm a digital nomad for a while, and after creating Ponta do Sol, I noticed that the only place community-wise that really compares to it from the places I've been was Bali, Canggu. And the nomads then went all around Europe, and they started messaging me around June and saying, Gonçalo, where do we find communities like the one in Ponta do Sol? And I've been traveling around. It's like, well, there aren't many. So what if this crazy guy with a good brand started a whole network of communities that have these values of connecting people, deep learning, positive local impact? How good would that be? So yeah, that's what I'm building.
Is it called anything? Is this an official network, or is it just like your idea? How do you label it?
Well, I label my project in Macaronésia. So how I launched Cabo Verde to our Madeira community and our nomad friends was the Macaronésia dream. Because this region is like a special region inside Europe, but also Africa, that is called Macaronésia. And Macaronésia, again, Azores, Madeira, Cabo Verde, and the Canary Islands. Very diverse. So I have the Macaronésian dream. I want to turn Macaronésia in the Caribbeans for nomads. Because they're much cheaper. It's like 1/3 of the price of the Caribbeans. Sorry, guys from the Caribbeans.
No, you got to do what you got to do. This might sound like a super elementary question. Is Cabo Verde a country, or is it?
It is. It's an African country. It was a Portuguese colony, so they do speak Portuguese. But super independent African country, really stable politics. And just kind of probably the most European country in Africa somehow, because they are very connected with Portugal.
Ah, okay, I see. And so moving from north to south, you got the Azores, you've got the Madeira, and then Canary Islands, and then Cabo Verde.
Yes.
How cool. Wow. It's amazing. And through those chains of islands, you could pass through 3 countries, multiple different languages, a bunch of different cultures. You can take ferries back and forth from some of them. That would be like such a cool way to spend a year, right? Like just passing through all those islands some way, like.
And we have flights between all the islands. That's the key thing. So Azores here appears like the connection, because they have flights from SATA that come from Boston directly to Azores. And from Azores, you can go to Cabo Verde, you can go to the Canary Islands, and you can go to Madeira. Also from Madeira, you can go to Azores, of course, but you can go also to the Canary Islands. So it's everything very well connected between each other. So imagine that you spend a year living in beautiful islands, and you start in Azores because it's still good weather. Then the weather starts to get a little bit crappier, around 16 degrees. You move to Madeira, it's 21 degrees until like January. And then, there is rain coming in February. So maybe you move to the Canary Islands, enjoy February in the Canary Islands, surfing there. Then, it's really cold again. And you move to Cabo Verde and you spend it's summer the whole year round. So The
You're
worst
just
you can
chasing
get is
summer in
33
the
degrees.
islands.
Man, I
Love
only
it.
have a hoodie. I have a 23 kilo bag. Half of it is clothes. The other half is sport stuff. I travel with my beach volleyball, with my tennis racket. But I only have a hoodie, and it's a very thin one from a brand that is a sport brand that doesn't make very hot hoodies. So the rest is shirts and t-shirts. So I need to chase the sun. It's a necessity right now. No?
Yeah,
There's no
it's
way.
really just a matter of necessity. It's not even a choice. It's the nomad way. You just follow the sun. That's epic. I love it. I love it. So it's Macronesia is how you
Macaronesia.
Macronesia. Can you spell it for me?
Macaronesia.
Awesome. Okay, Macronesia.
I passed
Wow.
the test.
I never heard of this word before. Is that common sense? Am I just totally missing something?
Well, it's not very known because, again, the Cabo Verde was really out of the game. But inside the political system and inside the European Union, this is an exclusive area. So if you work more with the European Union and around Europe, Macaronesia is kind of a thing. Outside is not known. I make sure I change that.
Yeah. One of the cool things I saw, correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't it have like direct flights to Cabo Verde from North America and from Europe?
Yes. Actually, most flights are from the US and Europe. So you have Boston. Right now, we will restart the flights again, but you have Boston, Cabo Verde, because there is a lot of expats of Cabo Verde in Boston. So they have direct flights. And there is half direct flights with a short stop in Azores. So even we are negotiating with Azores as well, which I also manage. So I'm negotiating with myself and the airline to actually have a layover of a month. It's not done yet. We'll see how it happens in the future. But imagine you could travel from the US, stay a month in the Azores, and then keep your flight and still fly with the same ticket to Cabo Verde. That's what we're trying to build. It's still a dream. It was never done. Maybe we are the first ones. We'll see. But even if not, you can stay at least 2 days right now in the Azores. But you can also get the next flight, which is like 2 hours layover or something like that, and you can fly to Azores from Azores to Cabo Verde super fast.
Wow,
could be worse.
That's amazing. And from Europe as well, pretty easy access.
Yes. Oh yeah, from all over Europe, because again, it's a winter destination for a lot of Europeans. Direct flights from Germany, Netherlands, Portugal, massive every day, or 3 islands at least. And yeah, a little bit everywhere, which is cool. And there are a lot of agencies do charters there because, well, Europeans don't like the cold as well. It looks like 23 degrees in December or January can be quite fun. So there is a lot of direct flights to Cabo Verde, which is really cool. And we will have some surprises in the beginning of 2022 regarding new flights and maybe cheaper. We'll see.
We'll be right back to the show after a quick break for a note from our sponsor. This season is brought to you by my good friends over at Insured Nomads. They're the absolute best in the business when it comes to providing health, travel, and medical insurance for nomads, expats, and really just all forms of world travelers. I know insurance is often something that's overlooked when we're fantasizing about traveling the world, but it's absolutely necessity that we address this because often the policy you have in your home country isn't going to cover you while you're abroad. And it's also a requirement, as a lot of people may not realize, to actually buy private travel or expat insurance, as it's called sometimes, to obtain a visa or even enter certain countries. So fortunately, there are companies like Insured Nomads to help us with this. Not only do they have excellent coverage and great prices, but they're also providing a first-class experience with additional perks and best-in-class technology via their app. It's an amazing experience. I can't recommend it enough. Now, this is a company that was built by world travelers for world travelers, so they know what it's like to find yourself in a difficult medical situation abroad, and they want to keep you from having that same bad experience. So the next time you're planning a trip abroad, whether it's for a week or a lifetime, check out Insured Nomads via the link in the show notes. Okay, now back to the episode. How are you enjoying this process? Like, I mean, I know you. I know you're enjoying it, but like, I mean, this is kind of like a digital nomad's dream to be building digital nomad villages. You're talking with airlines, governments. I mean, how do you feel like sitting where you are today?
Well, for me, it's kind of weird. I had a person asking me for a selfie for the first time in my life, and it was like, this is weird.
I've arrived.
Oh, wow. So this is it. This doesn't feel right. No, but it's a mix. Like when you work, I work hard, so I don't have the notion every single day that I am doing this. So it's like I am just talking with government of Cabo Verde in the morning, talking with the government of Portugal in the afternoon, and try to fix the Azores in the dinner. And this is just the way it happened. It was super fast. So I'm from one side, I'm having a blast because I see all the other communities. There are some better, some worse. But when you have the power to build a community from scratch, you can make better. And that's something that not many people had the chance to do. And I have this beautiful opportunity to start a community from scratch and to build it with my vision about what a community should be. Again, deep relationships, positive local impact, connection with the locals. We can build from scratch. While when you take over a city or when you just have a massive number of nomads arriving to a place without this kind of mediation between the nomad community and the local community, things can go really wrong really fast. So it's a blast. It's a huge pleasure. I know I'm very lucky, but I still don't feel it. I'm not sure if this makes sense, but it's like for me, just Monday morning right now, while I have to do this, I have to pull this off. There's also a huge pressure. Anything can fail at any time. But at the same time, I see the smile. I see the people traveling together. I see the really deep relationships. I see the smiles of the locals. Like, wow, this is insane. So, for example, coming back to Ponta do Sol, I was out for 2 months and seeing like everybody, wow, Gonçalo is here, like making a huge party. It was like, wow, this is not fake. Like you can see the smiles. We built friendships. And so, yeah, I kind of have immense power on my small Macaronesia dream right now. I'm also starting to work with Portugal country to do something even cooler. Let's see how I pull this off, including a second nomad village in Portugal, a very beautiful village. I just
on the mainland
today. On the mainland, yeah, in the south. Ooh. Like forgotten place, crazy beautiful, perfect surf the whole year round, and it has like 1,000 people there. Nice. And you cannot develop it, so it's like you have what you have. The low season it's super cheap. The high season we just need to leave the place for the tourists, like everywhere else that has ocean. But it's incredible. So I'm super excited about trying to pull that off as well. Let's see. But yeah, man, in short, I feel good, but I still haven't arrived to that place where you feel important. I don't feel that important.
Yeah, well, we're all like we all have like a little bit of imposter syndrome in us and think like, yes. How, like, this is all going to collapse on me at any moment now for sure. So this is a real one. Yeah. When does this thing just implode and I lose everything that I built? Yeah, that's a real thing.
Oh man, it may happen or not, but right now it's like using this whole interest in digital nomadism in the remote world to build the best communities we can, and then having the power to do this by ourselves without the governments, like deciding that we want to help, we want to build a community next place and just go by ourselves because we have the community already built in the other places. So that's the end goal. But you, my friend, you were traveling with a van across Europe with a beautiful dog and a beautiful wife. How was it working with a van and traveling? I know you were in Switzerland. Tell us about it. It was insane.
Oh man, that was a honestly like a dream come true, because as you know, and I think people that listen to this show, I probably talk about it too much, but I really love the mountains. It's sort of weird that I live on the Mediterranean in a city, because I really am like at home in the mountains, and a little like I love nothing more than like a quaint, cheesy little mountain town, and I'm a total nerd for it. And so anyway, I mean, I just basically dunked myself into that world for 6 weeks, all through Catalonia and Spain, southern France, up to the French Alps, passed through Switzerland, spent several weeks in the Swiss Alps. There's a town there that Instagram loves called Lauterbrunnen, that many people have seen, but it's called the Valley of the Waterfalls. And we basically camped in this valley for like almost 20 days, I think. And it's just like, literally, it looks like this, like a fjord almost. Like you might envision that it was in Norway or something, but there's like 67 waterfalls just squirting out of the sides of this valley. So like you can be riding your bike through there, looking up in one direction or the other, and there's just waterfalls just everywhere, and it's just like kind of mind blowing. It's also like a big adventure space. Like it's where people go skydiving and base jumping and paragliding and ice climbing. And so like at any given moment, you might just glance up and see like some base jumpers jumping off a cliff above you and falling, and with those like bat suits on, that make them fly.
Wow.
And it's just like insanely beautiful and cute little quaint towns with chalets and cows that just seem happy, and it's a beautiful part of the world. And the lakes there, like emerald green. So we were going paddleboarding on these lakes and floating down rivers, and my dog was in heaven because he wasn't 90 degrees Fahrenheit and it's humid outside. So
I know. I felt the feelings of your dog if you would have stayed in Valencia, because meanwhile, while we were out, I was actually in Valencia, in your town, in your city, and I was melting my life.
I know, bad luck that we didn't cross paths. But yeah, I believe you sent me a text message like, just one question, like, how do you sleep here?
I was thinking,
I was like, oh yeah, I guess it is. I mean, I know it's hot, but like, I don't know. I guess I thought it was hot everywhere. Not here in the Alps where I am, but
no, it's like in Lisbon, it gets hot for like a week in the whole season, and there it was like first week, and it's like, wow, I am melting. How do people sleep here? And there was the AC, there was the fan. I was like, okay, if I turn on the AC, I get cold and I get sick, which I did. And if I turn on the fan, it's not actually doing the same. So it's just like a Tetris game on how to position the fan to go to my legs, but not to my head, so I don't get sick. It was very interesting, and yeah. I love Valencia, but well, maybe another season.
maybe not in August anymore. There's a reason I left, I guess, in August.
Everybody was in vacation. There was a lot of very cool places, vacations. Like, now I understand why.
Yeah. That's a funny thing, because people always ask me, like, Americans have this perception of Europeans that they just like take all of August off, and they're like, people will ask me, oh, is that a real thing? And I'm like, yeah, it is. And they're like, so does that mean everybody's gone from your city during August? And I've thought like, well, I'm normally gone, so I guess I don't really know, because I just kind of followed this trend. Like, that's when I go on vacation. But I supposed, past tense, that, everybody has to go somewhere. So yeah, the locals leave, but tourists come in. And so it doesn't, there's kind of like a replacement. Everybody needs to be somewhere. But in listening to your story about Valencia, it was like, no, there was nobody here, and everybody was gone. And so I learned something new through you in that way.
For me, the shocking thing was, well, it was super hot. So we decided to go to the beach, of course. Then you go to the beach and the water is hot. So I actually left the water still sweating, and I was not understanding what was happening. I was like, usually in Portugal, when I go to the water, I get cold and I refresh myself. Here, the water is like 27 degrees. So this is not working as it should. Now what? So what's
Mediterranean
the
versus Atlantic, right? Yeah.
Yeah, like water here is super cold, and suddenly Mediterranean was a little bit too warm, like 3 degrees too warm. So yeah, it was super fun. I love Valencia. I love the cycling around Valencia. I love the gardens. You did so much better than us in Portugal. And I just think there is a big reason why people leave in August. Now I understand it.
Yeah. Now we know. We'll have to rearrange a next trip in better time of year.
October sounds good. But I want to go back, because there is this trend around me, and we need to speak about this, which is the van life. Yes. Van life is everywhere, man. I was in the Rifana, the south of Portugal. There is vans everywhere, and people living the van life. All surfers here, of course. But still, like, and myself, I am a big guy, 187 centimeters. And it's like, I don't see myself living in a van for 3 days. And here are you, a very good friend, living in a van for 2 months. And I met a lot of people living in a van for life. And I was like, why? How? So first, what's so attractive about the van life that I'm completely missing? I still think I don't like this. I prefer my bed in the hotel instead of a van. And how does it work with not 1, not 2, but 2.5 people, because it's 2 and a big dog. So tell me, what's there about vans that I'm losing, and what should I try to understand this huge trend around me?
Well, here's the thing, Gonçalo, you might actually be wiser than the trend, because the truth is that it looks like it is really fun and really cool. And so for anybody listening that maybe doesn't know the backstory, like, my wife and I have a Ford Transit converted camper van. It has a bed, a kitchen, a shower, toilet, stove, oven, all that. So it is like a little tiny mini house, but very huge emphasis on mini. And as you said correctly, Gonçalo, like, there are like 2.5 of us living in there, and we came to the conclusion, like at the end of this trip, like that was the longest we want to do a trip consecutively in the van. It's just very tight space. You're all over each other. You like just little things like my wife and I have different morning routines, right? So I wake up like 2 hours before her and I like to have my coffee and I like to get my day started. And that doesn't work so well in a van. Like somebody's pissed off, somebody's either having to sleep longer. Like I'm laying there in bed for like an hour, like, okay, can I get up now? I got to get my day started. And she's like, yeah, you wake up too early. You're messing up my day. So these things are real. And there's plenty more to go along with that. And we joked about it often. But the very cool part about it that is really real is that you get to experience so much in a very deep way. So like, for instance, we were able, like Switzerland is insanely expensive. Like it's insane. I mean, we went one day to go work at a cafe and I bought 2 coffees and I paid the equivalent of 15 euros, like $17, $18 for 2 coffees. Like I was like, oh, there must be a mistake here. Like, no, that's your coffee. That's 2 black coffees. That's $18. And I'm like, oh my God. So it's insanely expensive. And we could never have afforded to spend 3 weeks there just bouncing around. But in a van, you're able to do that. You're changing. We wake up someday. Oh, looks like it's going to rain today. An hour and a half away, it's not raining. Cool. Let's go. Let's drive over there on the other side of that mountain. So it gives you a lot of mobility, which you as a nomad would really like. But the tight space is real. The bathroom situation is a bit too close for comfort. Sometimes the cooking, you're always like replacing something. Like we're out of water. Oh, we got to dump the dirty water. Oh, we're out of gas. We got to replace the tank. So these are all real factors. And so I would say it's like on the cool spectrum, it's less cool than perceived, but it's way better than someone who would say like, oh, that's totally not for me. It's further on the cool side because it is really an epic way to see places and like places that you can't get to with trains and planes. Like I said, like little villages where you're like, oh, cool. I'm going to go drive up there in the top of this mountain and camp in this little village for 3 days. And you can do it in a very affordable way. So
that's fair. I think I'm very lazy. And what you just mentioned, like there's always a replacing. I was like, or I can pay for a hotel.
Totally get it. I mean, like I said, I came back and I was like, we're like, yeah, like we could use a little break from the van. We're okay. Definitely, we're definitely not like long-term like van lifers, like full timers. It's people
tool.
That can do that they impress me.
Yeah, I really like one thing you mentioned, which is the price in Switzerland. So I have no way to afford Switzerland ever, and it's a beautiful country with amazing cheese and even better chocolate. And you were able to experience it because you were in the van, because you have at least the sleeping was in the good place that you didn't have to pay. Well, if I have to go there, I will spend like 200 euros per night, which I can't. So it's
also, I mean, multiply that across everything, right? So like on top of that, you're able to cook all your meals. You're able to prepare your own coffee, for instance. So instead of paying $8 or euros for a coffee, I'm preparing my own. So you extrapolate that out over the course of a week, 2-3 weeks, and it's like, I mean, it's thousands of difference. So that's the really cool thing. And I think something that I've been starting to realize is like I feel like I've seen a lot of the cities in Europe that I want to see, and I'm really excited to see some of those like smaller areas, the more natural areas, that side of the communities that you're building in these places. That really calls to me. So this is accessible in a van.
Man, I am so over cities. So it's like I am from Lisbon. I grew up here, and then I moved to different cities like Aveiro, like Faro, and then Porto. I am so tired of cities. It went to the point, like I was in Peniche, little surf town in Portugal, and then I came to Lisbon. I was like, these people look sad and stressed. Just this different. Like I was surrounded by surfers, people smiling, people working remotely in tank tops and without t-shirts. And suddenly we're in Lisbon, and people look sad and stressed. And you can see the difference because it's 1 hour away. You can really see the difference between the city living and more like rural village living, and the same everywhere. Even Funchal and Porto Funchal is the capital of Madeira. It's a medium city, and you still see the difference. People in Funchal are stressed. In Porto Funchal, people are in shirts, living their life. Like everybody's calm. So I think, I'm not sure if because I grew up in Lisbon, I am becoming a village person, and I know. So I am I am so happy in villages. I'm so happy in Ponta do Sol. I was so happy in Peniche. I was so happy in Arifana, this little town in Algarve. And then I go to Lisbon, it's like, wow, I'm stressed. There's way too many people here. I go out for lunch, and it's like, wow, there is this many tourists. I shouldn't be here. This is not where I belong. So I see myself moving to villages, and even in the future, when I want to stop nomading, I think I will live in a village anywhere. But in a small village or like a small community, I can get to know everyone, and I can have a positive impact there. I don't see myself living in cities anymore. And this is weird because I was a city boy.
You know what's so cool about that is we had this conversation before, my wife and I, we were saying, how cool would it be? Like, this is years ago. How cool would it be if some of these little villages, like you go to some of these like cool little towns and you walk through them and you're like, wow, the pretty architecture. There's a few cute little cafes, but like the people are normally like older. It's kind of sad. Like there's no energy, no vibe, but you're like, if a bunch of like-minded people, like if you got like 300 people to come to this village and just live here, and all of a sudden there was like a really cool coffee shop and a co-working space and somebody leading adventure tours or whatever. If you had that, I would want to live here. And that sounded like a stupid dream a couple years ago. And now, like, you're literally creating these as we speak, and that dream is coming true.
And with people think that I'm doing this for the nomads. Well, it's fair. In the short term, it is, but actually, the final goal is to repopulate these villages. So, best nomad life. I really want to have like several places around the world, villages that we are developing to that vision that you just mentioned. Imagine a village of 300 people where you can work remotely in your village co-working space. You meet everyone, and you have people from the biggest companies like Doest, GitLab, Google, who knows, the best of the best, la crème de la crème. And then you can just connect and you eat out with them. You eat in each other's house. You can have bigger houses because you live in a village, so you have your backyard. You can grow your own food. Remember when food used to grow from the land instead of the supermarket? It was super cool. Imagine you can do all that. And I think that's the future of living, to be honest. I think us that have the luck of choosing where we can live, I see a lot of remote workers understanding this and trying to move to villages. But most villages are not ready yet. So it's still like a frustrating experience. So actually, I was speaking about this with the Portuguese government, which is, Gonçalo, we are doing this for the islands. Can this be done to rural villages? I was like, yes, tomorrow. When do I start? Because remote work and Grow Remote is doing an amazing job in Ireland, and there is other projects around the world, including Spain, but nobody actually was able to take a village, make it cool, and have 300 remote workers there. Nobody. And I want to be part of that conversation in the future, starting with digital nomads. I was talking with a guy that is making a village for digital nomads, like 50 beds. I was like, why only digital nomads? Why don't we make 200 beds? I would say 120 for remote workers, and you have 80 of them for digital nomads. So there is this community that is very tight. Everybody knows each other, but you keep it cool because anyone from anywhere can come here. Imagine a CEO from the West and a crazy guy that is creating his crypto company. And then it comes this hippie guy that just wants to chill down and surf. Why don't we do both? Let's create a village that is ready for remote workers, but leave some space for digital nomads. In my opinion, that's a perfect setup. I am building it. I'm not sure when or how or when I have time, but I am building it. It's just a matter of time. You are invited to live there.
Yeah.
Special discounts.
Count me in. You'll be the mayor if you need somebody to help with the marketing aspect or something. I'm down to support you. However you want, Mayor Gonçalo.
Some people call me the King of Nomads, which I am not, but it's super fun. It's like, you missed your crown today. Like, what? Oh yeah, the King of Nomads in Madeira. I was like,
That's going to be the title of this episode: the sitting down fireside chat with the King of Nomads. We'll see if that gets some extra clicks. Clickbait.
Yeah, go for the clickbait. It's always important. But yeah, I think this is the future. I think nobody was able to pull this off, and somebody should pull this off. And I think it has to be someone from the community. That's the key thing. It's the government tries to make it, they will fail. If just a nomad tries to make it, they will fail. It has to be the community of nomads plus the community of expats plus the local government to pull this off. But it's possible. It's really possible. And it's like, it's now. Now is the time, man. It's like, now is the time for everything. Like, let's do it. Let's go.
I also think this would be cool, and I probably am not the first one to think this. Maybe you're even aware of somebody that's already doing it, or maybe you're already setting some plans to do this. But like with all these companies that are allowing remote work now, and work, not even remote first companies, but companies just saying, yeah, if you want to go for a month somewhere or something, take your family and go work from XYZ place, you can do that. It would be super cool if there was a place that really catered to that audience, so that like people, like a company could fund somebody to go work at this given place for a month or whatever might be. And like, it could be like a perk that companies offer to people. And then like, so I show up and I'm like, oh, cool. There's somebody from Google and somebody from Facebook and somebody from Boeing and whatever, all these different companies. Like, yeah, we're all here at the, Gonçalo Hall Center on this island in the middle of the Atlantic. Like that would be super cool.
I actually first, yes, and yes, I'm building that for sure inside Nomad X. But I will do it just for my communities because I control the environment. So imagine you can send anyone to Ponta do Sol, and I have already all the connections for housing, and I have the co-working space with super fast internet. I have everything settled. So it's just a company can contact me and we can set that up in 20 minutes probably. Wow. I just need a place to promote all these, and it cannot be gonçalohall.com because that's very egocentric and that's not how I like it. So gonçalohall.com is not scalable, which is a big problem. I tried to scale during COVID. I got to 30 kilos, but it's still not very scalable. And it looks like it's bad for my health to be fat right now. So I have to work on that. So I'm scaling by having a company. That's why Nomad X for me is so important. It's the ability of putting my vision into a company that's way broader than Gonçalo Hall, and Nomad X will do this. So we have the communities, we have the hotels, we have everything set up, and we will just set up more and more communities. So Nomad X will be able to receive anyone from any company. And even the second project inside this is a house. So I'm building my first co-living. It's out already in Ponta do Sol. And I want to have more small co-living. So 7, 10, 12 people. So imagine all these remote workers from different companies, maybe not competitors, can be together in a house, all working remotely, all living the same lifestyle, and all changing information, all learning from each other. But even more important, all integrated in a bigger community, the local community, the expat community, and the nomad community. I think that's a sweet spot. So yes, we are building it with Nomad X for sure. And I also have this dream of putting the same, but for entrepreneurs. Imagine you are starting your business, you are starting your podcast, trying to make money from your business, going to a house with 10 people, all entrepreneurs in the same position, maybe some leadership people who already make it, invite them to work there for free in exchange of advice, and put everybody in the same roof for a whole month. I think that can change lives because it changed mine. Being in Canggu in Bali for 2 months, contacting with entrepreneurs, talking about global tech strategy for lunch, talking about digital marketing for dinner, that changed my life. And that helped me become kind of successful right now. So imagine this inside the same house. I think it would be insane. And I really want to try this out sooner than later.
They say like you're the sum average of the 5 closest people to you at any given time, right? So like if you're surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals that have the same ambitions that you have, and they're in sort of the same place, you are almost surely going to succeed in some way or another. Like maybe you don't even hit your end goal, but you're going to learn something. You're going to make a connection. You're going to further yourself by putting yourself in that situation. And I could not agree more. You said so many things that we have to get back to really quick. Start with Nomad X. I know a bit, but tell the audience, like, what is Nomad X and what is your new role at Nomad X?
So Nomad X was this company that was helping accommodation places to cater to digital nomads. So basically they had a accommodation website, which is gone. They sold to Fletaio.com, which is an amazing website doing this for a long time. They have all the technology already. So Nomad X is from a big friend of mine, Dave Williams. And now we are working together. I'm the new CEO of Nomad X. And I have a very different vision. Dave is a tech guy. He had 2 exits. He's amazing, incredible entrepreneur. But I love communities, and Nomad X needs to be a community brand. So now Nomad X is a community brand. We are focusing on creating communities. We have a global community. It's free. Anyone can join. We are looking around, having some fun with the crypto world and the blockchain world to try to do something connected with communities in the future. And we will just build communities and try to connect everything around digital nomads and remote workers. So yes, co-living spaces, yes, co-working cafes, yes, a global community that will give you information about anything. yes, maybe social tokens, who knows, where you can spend your token inside the community in all the crazy places we are developing it. It can be anything, and that's the beauty of it. So I think I'm going exact opposite of what everybody else is doing. Everybody's trying to build a product and then they look for the community. I am like, I love the community. I am part of the community. What do we need? We need kind of a brand that, for example, DNX was doing this a while ago very well, but then they kind of scaled back, and it's just connecting the community, create co-living spaces, create experiences. We had this Nomad experience in Porto Santo, a small island next to Madeira, and it was like 10 days, all nomads, just fun. So let's explore Porto Santo. Oh, the internet is good. Oh, I want to stay longer. And this is cool. We can ignite new communities by having experience there, see if it works, see the feedback and improve it. So we cater all the nomads. We can do anything. The community is the key. Then nobody was getting it. Everybody's building products. Everybody was building marketplaces. We are just a community. Whatever the community needs, we'll build it for them. And this is basically what we are doing. The community is everything. The community is our epicenter. If the community needs to have a place to stay in Panama and Bocas del Toro, we will build it. If the community wants to go to Africa, we will go to Africa and we'll find the right places to build a community in Africa. If the community wants to chill in Valencia, we'll go to Valencia. If the community wants a co-working cafe, we'll build a co-working cafe. We'll see. But basically, the community is everything, and we'll make this community epic, and everybody will want to belong to this community, not just a Nomad X community, but we will be the flag of digital nomadism as a community, and we want to be the best we can be. We'll make mistakes, but the community will be part of our mistakes. So yay, you also make mistakes with us. So yeah, that's the vision, man. Yeah, it's a little bit. And we have these ideas on how to ignite the community, how to make sure that the people that are in love with the community can help more the community and become opinion makers inside the community. So we will try to do all that inside this brand, and we can test it out. We can just ask questions and test things and go for the blockchain if we feel like it's a good place to be, and try new things. And there is so many cool people inside the community. They are just helping us out. That's the cool thing about the community. And yeah, that's it. That's Nomad X in a nutshell. That's the future of Nomad X. It will take some time. Be patient. The global community online is already on. It's on Discord. Send me an email or a message if you want to jump in. But that's the new Nomad X, and I am stoked because it opens all the new doors, windows, gates that I, as Gonçalo Hall, cannot go because I'm too small, even with the extra 30 kilos.
And even with the crown as King of Nomads, it's still tough. I mean, heavy lays
still very tough.
Yeah. That is super cool. Congratulations on becoming the CEO of Nomad X. That's an amazing accomplishment, especially while you're also building so much in other areas. And to be clear, they're kind of distinct initiatives, right? I mean, you want to tie them all together, but they're not necessarily fully connected either.
No, that's exactly it. So Nomad X will be the community brands, and then I work myself. Gonçalo will work directly with the governments. Of course, bringing Nomad X on board will always be an interesting factor in the future when we choose a new destination. But Gonçalo is a kind of government consultant. Nomad X is the community, and this is very different. And yeah, thanks for pointing that out. Nomad X is the community. Gonçalo is still the crazy guy. That kind of runs.
That's the easy way to remember that. You mentioned something else in the at one point a minute ago. There were like two things that I wanted to come back to. It was Nomad X and one other, but I'm drawing a blank. We hit on so much already. But
even myself, anyway. I got blank. I have a question for you. That is the last one. We have to close. I know we have pressure, but what is exciting you right now? What makes you smile? What makes you wake up and say, I want to conquer the world today. This world is amazing. What's that for you?
Oh, this reminds me of I recently just read Start With Why by Simon Sinek again. And it totally brought me back to this, what is your why? We get up in the morning every day, we go through our little habits and our routines, we sit down at our laptop, we do our work. And sometimes we don't really think about why am I doing this? What is the reason I started doing this? And maybe we go through phases where we do, and then that causes some giant change in the way we approach work or life or whatever. But in the day to day, we often don't ask that question, what is your why? And so anyway, I'm super stoked right now. I mean, as you know, I just started as the head of remote at Doist, transitioned into basically my...
You were already a little bit. You were already a little bit.
I was acting, I was a total imposter, and now I'm just a little bit imposter. But no, I mean, I'm so excited about that. I haven't had this much excitement about my day-to-day work and how it ties into my life in a really long time. So I have a lot of why right now. Like the why factor is super, super high. I'm really excited. Like there's this general theme that I'm kind of attached to right now, which is like humanizing remote work. And so I think there's some that's rooted in the fact that I'm an extrovert. I love interpersonal connection. I like community just like you do. And I crave that. And in the remote world, and particularly in a very asynchronous remote world that I have lived in, and that a lot of remote companies live in, the sacrifice that people have to give a lot of times, or at least perceived that you have to give, is that you have to give up the human side, that you know, the deep connections, the team camaraderie, the happy hours after work. And I like all that stuff. So I'm really excited. Like that's a huge focus for me, is bringing that to my company, but then also bigger to the kind of remote community as a whole. So I'm talking a lot about that. I'm doing lots of presentations, giving some talks at some different conferences, and also just trying to drive that initiative at Duis. So, I mean, that's really at the core of it. There's lots of other stuff. You know, I'm also super stoked about planning the company retreats and the mini retreats that we do, and getting involved with some of that. And then there's the quote unquote boring stuff that I also don't mind nerding out on, which is like documentation and how do we kind of like up level the remote work practices. But it's all sort of rooted in this why, is like, it's to help people have more location independence and to make that a better experience. And then just watch that grow so that people can go and enjoy these awesome communities that you're building, and people can choose to be an expat in Spain if they want to, and just more choice, more access to opportunity, and more fun along the way doing it. It's my why for sure.
Man, you deserve everything good that's happening to you. You were like top 3 voices. Even when I started with this remote work craziness, which I'm still on, you were the top voice. You were the guy to follow. And here we are speaking to you. And you still believe that I'm kind of equal to you, which are completely insane. So I really think we need more heads of remote. And I hope this movement from Duis in embracing it and also exposing you to the world. You were already acting. You were speaking everywhere in all the conferences. All my conferences, you were a guest for sure. So definitely, I hope this will inspire more and more people. And I'm trying to push more companies, like very big companies from Germany, to have a head of remote. So I hope you, man, can be an inspiration and hopefully spread the word, awareness, and work-life balance, freedom. I think everybody is more aware to freedom. Most companies just don't know how to pull this off. So speaking out there and speaking in conferences, it's so much more important than we believe it is. So super happy, man. I'm so stoked for you. Really, I'm so excited.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Likewise. It's always fun just sitting down, chatting with you. I get a lot of energy and enthusiasm from these conversations. So I'm glad we've agreed to do this at least on a seasonal basis. And so the fans of the show that enjoy hearing Gonçalo, you will hear more of him. Thank you so much for stopping by again, my friend. It's always great to catch up with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the invitation. And please keep doing this. It's incredible.
Ciao for now, amigo. Thanks for tuning in today from wherever you are in the world. Once again, I'm Chase, and this has been another episode of About Abroad. For those of you wondering how you can best support the show, I have made it super simple for you. Just go over to the show notes of the episode that you just finished listening to and click on one of the 2 following links. aboutabroad.com/newsletter to get our monthly newsletter, no spam, guaranteed, or ratethispodcast.com/aboutabroad, where you can quickly and easily leave a review for the show. It's not just important to me, it also helps more wanderers just like you find us. Finally, don't forget to subscribe on your podcast platform of choice, and we will see you again next week. Thanks again. Hasta luego, amigos.